All right, welcome to Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, a bi-weekly-ish podcast. Just what the world needs, right? Another podcast. There's too many podcasts already. This music's pretty cheesy, by the way. If this thing keeps going, I got to record like another intro. But anyway, the podcast is going to be mostly about automotive marketing, which is why I named it Mostly Automotive Marketing. And it's bi-weekly-ish because I really don't have the time or energy to do it every week. Seems like a lot of work. And I named it with Matt Wilson because that's my name, Matt Wilson. So each week or each bi-week, I guess, we're going to talk about something marketing related in the automotive industry. I'll have a guest on each week that I will interview, so it's not just me droning on. And this podcast is not going to be like one of those like boring, detail-oriented podcasts where I'm like, here's how you schedule Facebook ads. Go to Facebook Business Manager. Step 2, click create ad. No, that's boring. No one's listening to that. So we're just going to have like a light conversation about something marketing related. Maybe we'll get off and talk about something unrelated to marketing, but I'll keep them short. So hopefully you'll find them entertaining. And yeah, that's what we'll do. So the first one, I want to talk about agency. That's hard to say. Agency shopping for automotive dealerships. You got to have advertising going on. There's a lot of agencies out there. So I figured we'd talk to two guys who run agencies and just ask them about how dealers can go about selecting an agency and what different agencies offer and what they should look out for. So my first guest on Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson is the managing director at Silverback Advertising, Shane Stender, and he's on the phone. Good morning, Shane.
Good morning, Matt.
Hey, thank you for being the first guest on a podcast that no one's going to listen to. I appreciate it.
It is awesome to be here. Yeah. It is awesome to be here.
I'm sure all 3 listeners are very excited about this podcast. So I'm hoping next time I do one, they'll have 10 listeners. So that's kind of what I'm going for.
Well, see, percentage-wise, that's a huge increase.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So
that is a huge increase.
That's what you got to go with. We're talking advertising. So talk percentages, and then you look amazing.
All right. Well, you're from Silverback Advertising. You're the managing director. And I want to talk about a little bit about your agency. But first, I want to discuss when dealers are out there looking for agencies, what do you think is the first thing they should consider when they say, you know what, we should probably get some help. Let's talk to some people. What's the first thing they should look for when they start searching for an agency?
You know, there's a lot of things that come to mind that they want to take into account. I think the first thing they want to do is really do an assessment of their own internal resources. And I don't see dealers do that a whole lot. So it's really something that can help them define what it is they actually need from an agency. You know, some stores don't have a marketing director. They need everything, right? They need someone to produce media. They need someone to execute, come up with the strategy and be in charge of driving the strategy and then, of course, executing the media. You know, but some stores, they have some internal resources. They might have a graphic artist. They might have a marketing director who oversees, 1 or 2 or 3 of their locations. And so that person's going to be able to drive some of the strategy, and they might not need that piece from an agency. You know, they might not need the production piece from an agency if they have a graphic artist and a videographer, on staff. So taking a little bit of an assessment of actually what kind of services you need based on the people that you have is a great starting point. Because then that's gonna allow you to really look for the agency that can shine in the areas that you need them, as opposed to kind of getting more than you need.
Do you find that a lot of dealerships, a lot of stores that are talking to you guys or interested in your services are looking for a like full service solution or like a la carte type thing?
It's funny. I think most stores actually start with the a la carte. It is a little mixed, and you still have dealers who need everything from beginning to end. But a lot of times, I see more and more with the a la carte approach. And the a la carte approach tends to grow into the full services as you do a good job for a client, as you earn that trust with results and services and account management that a la carte approach. Oh, look at me, I can't talk this morning.
It's hard.
Starts to turn into the full services over time.
Yeah, sure. I mean, a dealer maybe uses you for one thing, it works out well, and then when they're looking for something else, they think of you again, they come back to you, that works well, and then they're like, all right, you know what, these guys do a good job at this, and maybe they can help me with this. You find out that happens a lot?
Yeah, exactly, especially with the advent of digital media, right? And nothing new, right? And for us now, talking about digital media, I think it's even hard to call it new media these days. But with the advent of all the various digital tactics and the core tactics that are used kind of throughout the industry, it's something where we see stores start with one thing and then build on that thing into a full service type of program.
Now, Silverback Advertising, you guys the headquarters is in Louisiana. Is it Louisiana or Louisiana? I don't know what's the right way to say it.
I'm not sure there is a right way to say it.
Are you in? Is it New Orleans or Baton Rouge?
Both, actually. So started in Baton Rouge, and that remains our headquarters for a lot of different departments, including our internal account management piece of things. But we expanded about 3 years ago to New Orleans, and our office in New Orleans houses the majority of our digital team. So a little bit different than some other traditional agencies. We actually house a lot of our services in-house so that we don't have to go bring on a digital provider to do paid search or SEO or SEM or display and things of that nature. So we have our own team we're Google Premier agency in that respect, and those folks in New Orleans are handling all of those account management with those various digital tactics and efforts.
And about how many clients do you guys think you work with?
So we typically have about 100 clients, or 100 rooftops, I should say, under our belt. And we actually specialize in groups. So a lot of those clients, a lot of those rooftops, 3, 4, 5, up to 9 rooftops per dealer group in that number there.
Do you find that the number of stores looking for traditional services, maybe it's radio, TV, media buying, print ad creation, is dwindling significantly over the last 5 years?
Interesting question. I'm not sure that it's dwindling, but the approach has gone by automotive car dealers. The approach has gone so much to the digital side that a lot of them are focused less and less on the traditional side. But as you know, even on the traditional side, things just continue to get more and more crazy, right? The advent of things like connected TV and over-the-top media. TV continues to just get fractured into more and more places that people can watch it. So traditional isn't even so traditional anymore, right? And then one of the things we see is more and more people starting to look at, not branding themselves and focusing on those low funnel shoppers. And it works in a lot of cases. But sometimes there are stores out there and they haven't branded themselves over the years. Other cases, new ownership takes over, things of that nature, where you really want to have a brand strategy, and you really need a brand strategy to drive the long-term car shopper. One of the things that car dealers are great at doing is thinking in 30-day increments, right? Life resolves around 30 days.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think it's important for an agency's job is to think in those 30-day buckets, of course, but to also think more long-term strategy and, what is the position of the dealership, in the marketplace compared to the competitors, and how's that going to look a year from now, and 2 years from now, and 3 years from now when you're working with a client. And building that brand up is a part of that, because people are going to shop who they know and who they've heard of and who they believe they trust. And you have to build that with the brand so that you get that low funnel stuff when they're actually in market.
Absolutely. I think that, too, it's like you said, just to echo that, it's easy for dealer principals to think, okay, well, everyone knows who we are, and I'm going to focus on, the third-party websites and the people who are at the buying, in the buying cycle on Google, and I'm going to forego traditional advertising or, branding advertising because it doesn't help me right now. But what happens 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road when you start falling out of people's minds when they start the shopping process?
Well, that's exactly it. And you mentioned the two key words there, right now, right?
Yeah.
Everything in the car dealership is right now. Not that there aren't guys that really do a great job, and there are some great dealership groups, some public groups that really think, long-term strategy, and they do it really well out there. But that is definitely something that the industry needs more of, and so from an agency standpoint, that's one of the things that you try to bring to the table is, of course, we need the low funnel traffic now, but we also want low funnel traffic 6 months from now, and we're going to want more low funnel traffic a year from now. And one of the things that's going to get that is that branding, so that the consumer is comfortable with actually shopping you, when they get in that phase of their purchase.
Back a minute ago, you were talking, before I let you go, a minute ago, you were talking about the fracturedness. I don't think that's a word. The fracturedness of the TV market. And I look at how I consume TV, right? I watch very little cable. And if I do, it's usually sports related, something you got to watch live, like Mets baseball, unfortunately, or Patriots football. But I find myself watching more Hulu and Netflix. And by the way, I'm really into the Santa Clarita Diet on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it. Drew Barrymore.
Oh, yes.
And Timothy Oliphant. That show's so good. But anyway, and the reason I bring it up is I got an email from you. I'm a marketing director for a group or for a couple of rooftops about Silverback's connected TV sort of offering and platform. And do you think that's the future? The days of just going and buying a bunch of cable advertising on, Food Network are behind us. This is the new way to do that.
I do. I don't think it leaves behind, buying, the importance of buying and monitoring what's being bought on traditional, network television and on cable. But cable companies are going to continue to evolve and change here over the next couple of years, and connected TV is a little bit of the Wild West.
Hello?
It's a little bit of. Did I lose you there for a second?
No, I got you. You're back.
Okay. It's a little bit of the Wild West when it comes to connected TV or over the top right now, just because you have every cable provider and lots of third parties in that space trying to work that space and trying to make money in that space, right? So I think there's going to be some consolidation over the next couple of years as large cable providers like Cox buy up some of these networks and things like that. But right now, a lot of them are trying to work in silos on what they can provide and keeping it within their network and within their platform. And I really see the future of that being going deeper than that, to where you can run not on the network, not on the cable subscribers network or just on the third party's network, but across any of the premium assets. And when I say premium assets, things like the ESPN app or the HGTV app, things like that.
I'm talking with Shane Stender. He's the managing director at Silverback Advertising. Hey, fun fact, the daughter on the Santa Clarita Diet is Australian, and she's doing an accent on the show. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I'm full of useless information.
That is a great piece of information. I've seen a number of great Australian shows on Netflix, and it's actually one of the shows I'm addicted to. I look for the Australian shows on there, so you got to check those out.
The Australian shows on Netflix. All right, I'll have to do that. Well, Shane, I appreciate you getting up early. I know you're on the West Coast right now, and thank you for bestowing upon us the honor of being the first guest on Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson.
I am very honored to be on here, and I look forward to being back quite often and seeing seeing how you grow percentage-wise in the number of people, right?
But before I let you go, give us a little plug. How can people find you on you or Silverback Advertising on social media?
On social media, you can find us at Silverback Advertising. Type that in. You will find our Facebook page. You will find our website and everything that you need to get a hold of us. So we love working with car dealers. We do a great job with our retention and keeping our clients that we work with. So that's what we're about: keeping our clients, not trying to grow and have thousands of clients, but taking care of a small select group of folks in a very good manner.
Cool. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it again.
Yeah, appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Well, there you go. Little technical problem earlier on there, a little while back, which is funny because my whole thing about doing it at a radio station would be like, oh, well, there'll be no technical problems. Because most podcasts are like some nose picker guy in his basement, and then the podcast starts, and they're like, hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Dude, yeah, man, I'm here. How's it going? What's the weather where you are? Dude, hello? Can you hear me? You sound a little loud. That's what podcasts are to me. So as you can tell, I'm a huge podcast fan. Anyway, so I came here at the radio station where I am. You can imagine that it's a nice studio where I used to actually do a radio show. So I could avoid the technical aspect, the technical problems, and then there I am. There's a technical problem. Anyway, I think we should talk to one more agency fella to just drive home how a dealership can do some agency shopping. Joining me now on Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson. He's the Senior Vice President of Market Masters Media Group. Dave Mano is on the line. Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
Good. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Welcome to the podcast that no one's listening to because it's brand new and no one's heard of us. So you're the second guest on a podcast with 5 listeners. I appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
We're talking about agency shopping and how automotive dealers can go about looking for an agency should they be in the market. And you're with Market Masters Media Group, and you guys are in Westchester, Putnam County, New York? Where?
We're actually in Whippany, New Jersey, which is Morris County. So
I was way off.
In the New York metropolitan area.
New York, New Jersey. If you're in Connecticut, it's all the same thing, right?
Connecticut, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Our dealers go from Virginia up to Vermont.
Now, how many rooftops do you guys have?
Well, we have 96 dealers right now. We had 54 dealers about 18 months ago, and we what we're doing seems to be working. So we've grown pretty quickly.
Right. Now, do you find that most dealers who are in the market for an agency or contact you guys about needing something are looking for a full service approach, or are they looking for sort of a la carte type things?
You get a mix of it, Matt. You get some dealers who are looking for a full-service agency, someone to come in, make recommendations, implement them, and stand behind those recommendations. You get some other people who want us to do some digital services. We're also a direct mail company. We have some dealers who just want us to do mail, but we also do mail through other agencies throughout the country as well. But most of our business, the large majority of it, is full-service business.
Wow. Do you think dealers... when they start searching for an agency, look at digital first nowadays? Like, do they come to you guys because they say, "Man, I need help with paid search and retargeting and stuff that maybe they don't understand"? Or do you find that dealers come to you and say, "Here's what I want. Here's how I want you to do it. Do it now. What's it going to cost?"
What we find is a lot of dealers that come to us are in a little bit of a panic mode. So it's, break glass and, call Market Masters.
Right.
They're looking for a solution. They're spending money on automotive advertising. They're not seeing the results, and at least tangible results. They're frustrated with some of the reporting they get and how that ties back into what they spend and the ROI on their investments. Mm-hmm. So what we're finding is people are looking for someone to guide them, to help them sell more cars.
What do you think dealerships should consider when they first start considering looking for an agency?
There's a whole checklist of this, but just some of the basics. Okay, understand. You have to understand advertising and marketing, and you have to understand the automotive industry. It's real basic stuff, and you would think it. But, there's a lot of companies out there that don't have that understanding. There's companies out there that are doing digital services for dealers. that hire kids out of college. It's their first job. They're paid very little, and then you know what? They leave after a year. So they don't really understand the automotive industry. You need a team of professionals who understand the industry and understand the advertising and marketing, component of it. Skill set. An agency, if it's going to be a full-service approach, needs to really have, skill set in all the micro and macro disciplines. They need to understand the big picture from a micro perspective on up so that they can help in every area. If you know SEO extremely well, but you don't know SEM and your focus is on SEM, you may be losing in recommendations and things you're doing in SEO. So it has to be a balanced understanding of all the different facets. Agencies today, Matt, they need to be built for speed. You see what goes on. The manufacturers change programs. Things happen in a heartbeat. You need to be able to react, immediately. So some other things. You got to have content that converts. You see it. We've had conversations. Take a look at some of the ads of the vendors. What are they saying? Okay, where's the why buy from us? What's the hook? What's the reason to drive someone to a dealership? And you have to understand that. And that's basic stuff. My mindset. The dealers have to have, I believe, a different mindset. They have to think in terms of multi-touch, multi-channel, driven by data advertising with killer content.
Now, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you there, but do you think there's an advantage to working with an agency that is local to you, or at least in your area, or do you not see any hurdles by working with agencies that are different parts of the country?
It depends. From a full-service perspective, I think it's harder not to have an agency that's local.
Right.
Someone who can be there on a regular basis, be at the dealership at least a couple times a month, minimum. When you go out and you sit down with someone, you sit down with the general manager, then you might meet with the owner, then you may meet with the internet manager, and you're having conversations, you're having different conversations at different times, and things always come up, and you're always learning. And as you learn, you're able to implement and understand more of their business and implement, policies, procedures, strategies, and tactics that'll help grow the business. Without that sit down, without that face to face, you sort of miss some of that stuff.
Yeah,
but some of the MarTech, some of the MarTech stuff is pretty straightforward. So, from that perspective, if you're talking about piecemealing it together, it can be very effective. And once again, everybody knows the zip codes, the demographic information is out there. It's all there to see.
That's a good point, because I feel like one of the things that sometimes is missing at a dealership is the link between marketing and the BDC, right? Marketing and advertising comes up with what's going on, whether it's branding or low funnel stuff. They are trying to bring the traffic in. That traffic comes into the BDC, but the BDC, if there's not someone there to get with the BDC and get feedback from what customers are saying, where they're coming from, what the BDC is sourcing, it's hard for marketing to know what is, actually happening at the store. And, if you're working with an agency where someone comes in once a week or twice a month or whatever it is, that I think that's an advantage to making sure that what you're doing is translating through to the BDC, through to the sales floor, through to the actual, sold customer. So I think you're right there that probably is an advantage. On the other hand, as a marketing director, I don't need any more people visiting me. Right? I spend all my time with people trying to meet with me.
Yeah, I know. But you even want to go deeper down the rabbit hole. You really got to talk about cross-generational conversations. Think about it. You have the owner who's, let's say, 64 years old. Well, you may have a conversation with him. You may meet with the 27-year-old internet manager, right? And you may meet with the 38-year-old sales manager and the 47-year-old, these are just generalizations, general sales manager. So when you meet with the BDC rep, you're talking multi-touch, multi-channel, all that, okay? But when you're meeting with the owner who's 64 years old and really doesn't want to understand this, you got to go back to reach and frequency. So the conversations across different types and different understanding are critical, because you need to leverage the dealership's buy-in on your advertising and marketing program. And if everybody from the top down doesn't understand it, then when that chain breaks, you're going to see ineffective advertising. So, you could go on and on about this, but that's one of the critical components for success in dealerships, understanding and buy-in across, the different folks at the dealership.
I'm going to use the phrase cross-generational conversations in meeting today. I'm not going to give you credit at all, and I'm going to sound really smart, by the way, so thank you for that. I've never heard that before.
But it is what it is. You do it. You've got to be a teacher, right? What you do in your position, you've got to teach your owner. You've got to teach your general manager. You've got to teach your BDC manager.
Yeah.
You've got to teach the sales manager. And if everybody's on the same page, you know what happens. If they're not, you see the breakdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to manage up a little bit too. You got to manage the expectations of those above you. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for a program not working, doesn't meet their expectations, and then you're just wasting everybody's time. You got to make sure that they know what the results are going to be and how it's going to affect the business before you get into it. Absolutely.
100%.
Now, before I let you go, let's plug Market Masters Media Group a little bit. What sets you guys apart from other agencies, and why should someone come see you guys, and how do they get a hold of you if that's the case?
I mean, it's real simple. If you want to get a hold of me, you can email me at dmano@marketmasters.media.com. You can call me 862-404-0012. Our differentiating factor, I think, is we have a brilliant digital team. I mean, our team is unsurpassed in expertise, and these are passionate people about this field. I mean, they love what they do. We combine that with an understanding of the automotive business. The owner owned a car dealership. You know, I've been doing this for 24 years now. We get what happens at a dealership, and we're able to translate that to results. You know, from simple stuff like, MarTech. We have a person here who's dedicated to, interviewing companies, and we vet everybody on new marketing technology. So a real simple thing, like, you're familiar with ringless voicemails?
Yes.
Okay, they cost very, very little to implement, but it's a new marketing technology, more or less. So what we do is we understand the business. So Matt Wilson comes into, ABC dealership to buy a car. You sit down, you test drive a car, you work with the salespeople, but you make a decision not to buy the car today. What we do with ringless voicemails is send a message from, depending on the size of the dealership, the general manager or owner who didn't meet with them the next day. Okay, offering a personalized experience, make sure that everything went okay, and to deal with them directly. On small dealerships, we're finding them selling 7 to 15 cars a month just off this program. Large dealerships, I mean, it's immense. And it costs virtually nothing. So the understanding of the industry, the understanding of technology and the skill set in it, I mean, really separates us. And we care. I mean, and this is goofy, okay, so don't laugh. Mm-hmm. But you got to love what you do. I mean, you got to care for the people. You've got to be able to provide more value. You've got to dig deeper than anyone else. You got to look harder into things and be valuable in all aspects of the dealership. And it's that commitment that's had us grow at the rate we are. We're probably the fastest growing automotive advertising agency in the Northeast right now.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I'm sure that all 6 people listening will find this find this interesting. I'll have to have you back on maybe 10 episodes from now, because I'm hoping that more people will be listening or watching. But I appreciate you being on the trial episode. I've worked with you before. You guys do a great job, and I appreciate your time and for getting up early. You're probably in the office already, though. You're a go-getter.
Yep.
Thanks, Dave. Dave is the Senior Vice President of Market Masters Media Group. 862-404-0012. Cool. Thanks,
right.
Dave. I appreciate it. Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, there you go. That's my first podcast, Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, a bi-weekly-ish podcast. I don't really know how to end it. Maybe I'll just play the music I played at the beginning. And then you got to plug stuff, I guess. All right, so listen to the next one wherever you listen to this one. I don't know where this is going to be, like iTunes, Slacker, Foozer, YouTube. I don't know where you've listened to podcasts, but let me play the music again. That's how I'll exit this. There we go. Seems like a good way to end it. Find me on LinkedIn. Follow me on Twitter, Matt Wilson Marketing. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Peace and love.